I'm Chris Smith, professor and chair of musicology and founding director of the Vernacular Music Center at the Texas Tech University School of Music. Now, when we say vernacular, what we mean is music or dance that are learned and taught and passed on by ear and in the memory. Oftentimes, that's by demonstration and imitation. Someone shows you how to play or sing or dance, and then you imitate, and then they help you learn to do it better. That's what we do at the VMC, and that's the way that an awful lot of music and dance have been learned around the world for the past 40,000 years. I'm here today to present another installment in our series called the Virtual VMC Petting Zoo, in which we take time to help you get to know a folk instrument. This is a 5-string banjo. Now, there are different varieties of banjo, and basically anything with a resonator of skin or plastic and strings created in the Americas fits that description. What I mean is any instrument that has a resonating cavity and a head made of some kind of flexible material and playing strings could be called a banjo. It's an instrument that's been known by a lot of different names in a lot of different places, but it's originally a translation of an idea of an African instrument. It came to the African Caribbean and to the southeast Atlantic coast of North America with slaves brought from West and Central Africa to the New World as part of the Middle Passage. Now, these instruments and their African ancestors share a common physical concept, common kind of construction, and a shared playing technique. And that technique is percussive and polyrhythmic. What I mean by that is it's played by striking at the strings in a percussive fashion. The finger strikes downward, and then the thumb plucks. And oftentimes that thumb is plucking the short string, a string that's not fretted, but that it's tuned to a note which drones in the key of the song. So we have the striking sound, the fingernail plucking downward, and we have the thumb following along on that drone string. And the two together, the thumb and the finger working together, create these two rhythms that give us the polyrhythm. So we have this. Sometimes that technique is called frailing, or claw hammer, or old time. But the oldest term, and the one that really makes the most sense, is knocking, because you're knocking at the string. So those two fingers together, the forefinger and the thumb, they're driving the engine of that polyrhythm. The instrument's tuned in different ways, set up to have different open strings according to different repertoires or even different individual pieces of music. And oftentimes it's to give you open strings that will resonate while you're playing on the others, the way that the drones on bagpipes or the open strings on the mountain dulcimer resonate, this sort of drone-based music. Now, this instrument has been used for both dance music and accompanying songs at various points in various places, but it's also very importantly served as a kind of platform for cultural meetings, because it's a West African idea, an Afro-Caribbean realization of that idea, and then the instrument moved from the Caribbean up the great rivers of North America, up the Mississippi, up the Ohio, eventually up the Missouri, and also along the Atlantic coasts of Georgia and South Carolina and the Sea Islands. And so, when Anglo-Celtic settlers in the southern Appalachian Mountains, who came to those frontiers just before and after the American Revolution looking for free land, when they came down the smaller tributary rivers of those mountains' western watershed to the Mississippi and the Ohio, when they came down those watersheds, they met African Americans, deckhands on the steamboats and wharves, longshoremen in the shipping towns, or in the harbors of the southeastern USA. And those Anglo-Celtic settlers began to borrow this instrument to play the flute and fiddle tunes that they already danced to. And that's how the Afro-Caribbean banjo comes into Appalachian music. And it's one of the ways, only one of the ways, that without African and African American musical genius, the banjo and indeed American music wouldn't have happened at all. You can find out lots more about us in the show notes at the end of this podcast. We invite you to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. There'll be more in these and related series coming from the Virtual Vernacular Music Center. And right now, I'll play you out with this tune called Sandy Boys. We'll see you the next time.